You guys, this is the most Gemini new moon freaking video day. I've like, gosh, there is so much going on in my life right now, but we are going to talk about this week. This is going to be a weekly and the Gemini new moon video, basically all in one, boo, okay? Because I had to give you guys something, okay? And also, I just want to announce that I am not going to be doing the sign horoscopes for June because today was the only day I had to film them. And as you can see, I'm not filming them, I'm filming this instead. And that was because I tried to film them and you can just clearly tell that I'm not into it. They are just not, they're not flowing very well. I don't know if it's just this Gemini energy or what, but I am just, yeah, I would rather not put them out than put out something that I feel is very rushed and like all kinds of stuff. I have family in town right now, so things are a little bit hectic. There's like literally my grandmother's out there like watching TV and it's like turned all the way up and distracting, and so I don't know if you can hear it. So I apologize. There will not be any sign horoscopes for the month of June, but this definitely takes a lot off my plate. I can stick to my regular scheduled videos now. Other than that one, maybe I'll try to put some horoscopes at like the end of the weeklies or something. I don't know. Or maybe if I have time, I'll do like late horoscopes. I don't know yet. So, anyways, but thank you for being here anyway. I appreciate you guys. And we are going to talk about this coming week and this Gemini energy because it is a lot. I'm sure many of you guys are feeling it in some way or another. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up my screen here so we can go ahead and start talking about it together. Okay, you should be able to see my chart up on the screen now. And yeah, as you can see, we start off this week today, Monday, late tonight, with a Gemini new moon, since the moon and the sun are together in the sign of Gemini. And Gemini is all about really busyness, and I'm sure you guys can feel it anyway. There's a busy sense in the air. Things are picking up. It's a lot of information, a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions, a lot of different maybe errands or things, plans going on the schedule. We can just, things are moving very fast right now because all of the planets are moving forward other than Pluto, which is literally like so far away. And we're probably not feeling that as much on a day-to-day level because it is, in outer planets. So anyway, but this new moon in Gemini, it is in the sign of the mutable air. It's a mutable air sign, which means air going in every which way, which means thoughts, the mind, intellect, communication, words, verbal, going every which way. Okay. So, and I'm definitely feeling this. Like everything has been great, moving great at a certain pace. And then all of a sudden, like the last couple of weeks, it's just like picked up and my phone's ringing off the hook, emails, plans, calendars, just filling up, people asking for different things. It's just all over the place, And so it can feel like there's a lot of busyness right now, basically. And so if you're feeling that way, I'm feeling that way, you're not alone, okay? Basically, this is like, I think, some of this is like we may be trying to do too much at once. We may be trying to do a lot of different things at once. And we also may be trying to please others with this trine to Pluto here. We may be trying to please others or do the logical thing or do the thing that we think other people are going to want us to do. Or we may be thinking too much and thinking that things have to go in a certain way or make sense for us to, move forward. But a lot of this is like, hey, not all of the stories in which we are telling ourselves are entirely true. Yes, we can do a lot of things, but this Gemini energy is very conflicting. So a lot of the times we can feel like there are two different parts of ourselves or two different things going on that are conflicting with each other, right? Like, for example, the last several days I have been so stressed about how I'm going to do all these videos because all of a sudden it just kind of snuck up very quick. I've realized that like my next week and a half is completely booked every single day. Like I have multiple things to do and I'm like, wait, like I literally hardly have any time to do the 3 videos that I'm supposed to be doing this week. And realized that today would have been the only day I would have had, but even then I probably wouldn't have been able to finish it. It usually takes me 2 to 3 days to do the monthly horoscope videos. And so unless I rushed through it, which I found myself starting to do, they weren't going to come out very good, right? And that's kind of this Gemini energy. It's like, well, I want to stay consistent. My monthly horoscope videos are my most watched. That's what other people, Pluto and Aquarius, it's what my audience is probably going to appreciate the most. It's the most logical thing that I could probably do. But the other side of that is like, do I really have the mental energy and capacity to be doing all of that amidst all of the distractions that I also have right now going on? And amidst everything else that I have going on, do I really have the mental capacity for that? And are they really going to come out good? Are they going to be of good quality, which is something that I personally value over just consistency? I would rather be inconsistent than put out things that I am not particularly happy with, or that I know that I was kind of slacking on, right? Now, it doesn't mean that we can't shortcut things here and there or whatever. Sometimes it does feel right to do that for me. In this situation, it just did not feel right to do that. And it felt like my heart was in it, my passion wasn't in it. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to move some things around and I'm going to do what is lighting me up, that I can get behind and not make myself feel guilty or bad for it, right? And that is kind of this energy right now in a lot of ways. It's like, because like on the lead up to this new moon, the moon is conjuncting Uranus and Taurus, which is bringing this whole element into it of stability, consistency, sustainability, like doing things out of quality and all of that. Priorities, what are our priorities versus what needs to be done, or what are the plans, or what are the logical things that we need to do, or what does the schedule say, or what's everybody else doing. And so there's just a lot of that right now moving into this week. It can feel like a little like a very busy time, a very busy energy. But I do think that as we are moving into the beginning of June, because June's a very different month, we do have a lot of stuff happening in June. We have a lot of planets changing signs. We have our next big dog transit of the year, Jupiter, moving into Cancer, into the fertile, like emotional waters of Cancer, and really showing us where we want to expand our life force. Where do we want to expand our sense of safety, security, energy, where we feel safe. It's like where we feel nested and rooted emotionally, and therefore want to expand outward, where we feel safe intuitively and therefore can listen to our intuition, can procreate, in just like a metaphorical, logical, basic sense of Cancer being kind of the mother ruled by the moon, the womb space, right? What do we want to birth into this world? And to be able to birth something into this world, we first must feel safe, or feel like we are in safe, secure, stable waters. Okay, and so Jupiter is really going to be bringing those themes up when it moves into Cancer. And we're going to see, I think, some remnants of this starting this week, because the moon on Wednesday, so let's go ahead and move on to Wednesday. The moon on Wednesday will conjunct Jupiter and Gemini right before it moves into Cancer, where it will then square Saturn and Neptune, which Jupiter is about to do. We're going to have the next Saturn-Jupiter square, but Jupiter is also going to be squaring Neptune, since Saturn's with Neptune, from Cancer to Aries. And so, we're about to have kind of like, that's going to be a huge thing in June that we're going to go over as June goes on. But on Wednesday, when we have this, it's really interesting. And I know this makes a lot of sense for me. So Gemini is my 11th house. So it's like other people, events, social, all of that. And that's kind of what's happening right now. It's super social. But also Jupiter's moving into Cancer, which is like my 12th house. And I have like family, and a lot of it has to do with family. And Mercury, my chart ruler, is in my 4th. So anyway, but a lot of these things have to do with family. And on this day, with the moon conjunct Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, we're definitely going to be feeling like we are, again, that sense of busyness, that sense of, and even feeling it on an emotional level. I'm kind of feeling like there's like a lot of things going on at once, or there's multiple things going on at once. But we have to kind of get to like, this kind of like this energy Wednesday, and you can even use this throughout this week and at other times as well, especially with Jupiter and Gemini, because Jupiter is about zooming out, Gemini is about zooming in. And I like all last week, I was like stressing about this week because I just kept seeing everything piling up and my schedule piling up and piling up and piling up. And I was like, oh my God, I have not been this busy in a while. And oh my God, I feel so bad. What am I going to do about my videos? What am I going to do about my sign horoscopes? Like, and I really realized that like the aligned thing for me to do is to not do the sign horoscopes this month. And it's okay. Like, like I've built up consistency for several months now, and my work is about devotion, not just about consistency. Again, I'd rather be inconsistent and be aligned with what I'm doing than to not feel aligned with what I'm doing and be consistent and it just be empty and there not be any passion or magic behind it, And so what this reminds me of on Wednesday with the moon meeting Jupiter and then the moon moving into Cancer, where it will then square Saturn and Neptune and Aries, is, like I said, last week I was stressing out about this week, like hardcore. And I was like, like, oh my gosh, like there's just every single day, there's like so many things I have to do. And how am I going to get it all done? And how am I going to do it? And I'm not really going to have hardly any time to myself. Like usually I need like a lot of time to like process things and some privacy at times as well. I'm an Aquarius moon, I'm weird. And I'm like, I need some alone time to like process certain things. I'm not somebody that likes to be around people all the time. Like I have my extroverted side, but I then need some time to like myself to like cool off, to go into my shell a little bit because I have a Cancer South node as well. Anyway, I was thinking, with all that, I'm like, you know what, Tawny, like it's just a week. It's 1 week. And when I realized that, it like hit me because for some reason this week felt like a month. I was like literally looking at it like a whole month. And maybe it was because of the monthly horoscopes and like how I was going to do all that. It's like, well, it's a whole month. People are getting their sign horoscopes. But it's like, I don't know. Like I literally I was like, Tawny, it's just 1 week. And after this week, yes, there are more things happening in June, but there's not any other weeks that are going to be like this, other than a vacation week that I'm taking, which I'll definitely very much need by that time. But there will not be any other weeks that are like this, where there are just multiple things every single day this week scheduled, And that's where I kind of like, it was like an exhale. And that's kind of how I see like moon on Jupiter and Gemini. Where are we so zoomed in that we have forgotten kind of the big picture, or like where do we need to kind of zoom out and see that this is just a very small piece of the puzzle, and that, multiple things can be true at once. Like multiple things can be true at once, and we don't have to always like we don't always have to do multiple things at one time, take it one step at a time. Look at it. Like I'm literally breaking this week down like 1 day at a time, just looking what I have to do on a day-to-day basis instead of like, because before, like I said, I was looking at like the whole week, and then I was like, oh my gosh. And then because of how much stuff it was, it started feeling like a whole month. And then I was like, oh my God. And it was just like really stressing me out and feeling very overwhelming, because it just like all just kind of piled on at once. And anyway, it was just, once I like kind of reminded myself, like, it's just a week, it's just one monthly horoscopes video, which it's kind of my fault. I knew I probably should have done it early. But I didn't know I was going to be this busy this week. Like I thought I was going to have a few days to do it before basically every single day just got scheduled with something. And so anyway, that's kind of how I see Wednesday. And then, Jupiter moves into Cancer, or not Jupiter, the moon moves into Cancer on Wednesday, brings up this kind of like nostalgia and is like, okay, like I can slow down now, or I can like feel a sense of relief now. But there is this square to Saturn and Neptune. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's a time to reflect, there's a time to feel good, but we could still feel the pressure of like our long-term vision or our long-term goals, or the responsibility for continuing to go. And so what this kind of looks like to me on Wednesday, as the moon moves into Cancer after it conjuncts Jupiter and Gemini and then squares Saturn and Neptune, it really kind of looks like, number one, we are kind of grieving something that once was. So like, for instance, my sister's like graduation, she's graduating high school, is like her graduation party's on this day. And so, which makes a lot of sense. Like Aries is my ninth house, but Anyway, I could definitely see myself like, getting emotional, moon in Cancer, thinking about, her life or whatever, which would be very like Saturn, Neptune, and all of that. But also with this, I kind of also feel like the moon in Cancer wants to slow down and reflect and feel comfortable and feel emotionally good and emotionally safe to take its time. It's like, I just want to relax. I want to go by a pool, but I have these like responsibilities, or I have these obligations, or I have these bigger things that are requiring my attention, or that I know are running in the background, that I can't fully allow myself to relax. Another way of thinking about this is in the past, and this is why I kind of have such an issue with slowing down right now or breaking my consistency, is because in the past I have had various lessons in this where when I am go, 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 and I start getting into a rhythm, that rhythm shows certain results and I do very well. But then when I like start slowing down, or something emotional comes up, or there's something going on internally or going on within my life that like kind of slows me down, that rhythm all starts kind of crumbling. And so in my mind, I have had this kind of like negative story of like, oh, if I don't keep up the pace, then it's all gonna go kaboom. It's all gonna crumble. And that is really what I think we're going to see a lot of, not only just this week on Wednesday, but I really truly think this is going to be a massive story that we're coming into in June. Okay, because we're going to have a lot of squares from Aries to Cancer, with Jupiter in Cancer, the sun moving into Cancer when it does, and squaring, Saturn and Neptune and Aries, Mercury, we're gonna have all these planets that are moving from Gemini to Cancer, that are gonna start squaring Saturn and Neptune and Aries. And so this is really gonna be like, Saturn and Neptune and Aries is like, let's keep the pace, like let's keep going, we've got things to do, we've realized what we've wanted now, and we faced conflict to be honest about them or to go after them, but now we feel we're being slowed down by something going on with our family, or something going on with emotional bonds, or something to do with emotions, or something to do with safety, emotional security, etc., etc. And so it can be like good things happening there as well. Like it doesn't have to necessarily be bad, but it can feel like we're kind of caught between keeping up this rhythm, or keeping up this sense of like pace with the fire energy, versus slowing down and, feeling or reflecting or bonding, or like, feeling secure, or dealing with family, or dealing with attachments, or dealing with other people's emotions, etc. And so there's definitely going to be a lot of lessons coming up in this. And I think Wednesday, the reason I wanted to talk about Wednesday, and even though it's just a moon transit, the moon's going across Jupiter and then squaring, Neptune and Saturn and Aries, it's mimicking what Jupiter is about to do. It's mimicking what the sun and Mercury is about to do as well. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it. I feel like Wednesday is like a little bit of a brief, slight, subtle taste of what is coming in June in some ways. And so that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it. But anyways, on Thursday, we have the Mercury Cazimi. So the sun and Mercury will be coming into their alignment, their conjunction, and Mercury Cazimis, usually bring us a moment of clarity, a time where something just clicks, a time where all of a sudden we have a revelation, a realization, something becomes known, something comes into our awareness. News is, shared, information comes out, there's a conversation that all of a sudden pops out of nowhere. But there's something here usually that deals with the mercurial stuff of like the mind, communication, whether it be written, verbal, email, mail, like text message, news, whatever. Mercury being the messenger is bringing something to our awareness when it conjuncts the sun. So the sun is kind of shining a light on something and broadening our awareness. So right around Thursday, and again, some people could feel this Wednesday leading into Thursday, some people could feel it Thursday leading into Friday, but either way, from about Wednesday to Friday, we could feel this kind of clarity setting in about something, or this kind of answer that we've been looking for about something, or this decision that we're finally making, or this news that we're coming out about, or we're sharing, or whatever the case may be. But it can be some kind of clarity, honesty, and also with this being Gemini, though, us changing our minds, because that is what Gemini is all about. Like, I literally posted last night, like, hey, you guys, I'm just letting you know I'm like coming across a really busy week this week. Family's in town. I probably won't do the weekly or the Gemini new moon because I'm going to try to focus on the horoscopes. Well, today came and I changed my mind on the Gemini new moon. You know, be okay with changing your mind. Like, yes, consistency can be good and will be a theme coming up in June, but you can also change your mind and you can be consistent in other ways. It can look different. Gemini is mutable, is about morphing things to fit together. Okay. If consistency looks like you trying to fit this big fucking puzzle piece into a puzzle that it's not going to fit in just because you feel like you have to, or just because that's what you were doing before, like, you don't have to do that, you know? If, like, you know, for instance, again, I know I keep bringing this up and I don't mean to make it all about me over here, but just like to give you guys examples, like me trying to do the June horoscopes, which usually takes me a few days, and trying to like fit it all into today, and it's starting to stress me out, and me feeling like I'm like not even enjoying it because there's so many distractions going on, and I feel like, you know, I'm like trying to rush through it because I have so many to do and I know I'm not going to get it done, and now I'm just burning myself out and torturing myself to do it. Like, that's not really helping anyone. That's me trying to fit a square peg into a round hole at that point, you know? So Gemini energy is light. Go with like the light thing, the thing that feels like, okay, you know, you might have to think out of the box to find a solution. Me making this into the Gemini new moon video and the weekly horoscope all in one, right, is a good example of this. I know it's probably playing out more like a weekly, but either way, two things can be true at once, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just going to blend both of them together. Or sometimes it's like, you know what, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to do it this way. And not guilt tripping yourself for changing your mind, for making it into something else, or for changing it around, or for alchemizing it to fit into a different space. That is okay. So again, and I think that's what we're kind of realizing on Thursday. It's like maybe we're changing our mind about something that we thought we needed to be sure on, or that we thought we were sure on. And now we're like, you know what, I don't want to do that, or I'm going to just speak my truth, or I'm going to be honest about this, or I'm, you know, the answer is actually no and it was yes. Like, you know, whatever the case may be, there's something coming to light that we're realizing something around the Gemini area of our charts on Thursday. Again, you could be a day or two before or after as well for some people. And then on Sunday, and we'll likely even be feeling this, camera's dying, but we'll likely even be feeling this before Sunday as well. So even Friday, Saturday into Sunday, Venus is going to conjunct Chiron in Aries. Now, this is really interesting. Venus is getting ready to move into Taurus. I'm pretty sure next week. She will then move into her home sign of Taurus and finally out of Aries, where she's in detriment, and it has been in detriment on and off for months now. But we learned a lot with Venus and Aries, you know, and this is ties into this Venus Chiron conjunction that goes exact on Sunday, but that will likely be feeling on and off all week. Venus and Aries has really, I've noticed the biggest lesson in readings, clients, myself, people around me. Like, the biggest lesson of Venus and Aries has been considering yourself and your own desires, which is so effing hard to do. Like, I don't think like we actually really think about this stuff on a day-to-day basis until like Venus and Aries happens, right? What happens with Venus and Aries is she shows us controversial desires that we have that separate us from other people, that also cause friction or conflict, that are against what other people want or desire for themselves, or that somehow cause them to not get what they want and desire because we want and desire something. And so inherently, it's really showing us these kind of lessons with desires and selfishness, where we think that because we want something and that thing feels aligned for us, but it may not be what other people want, we end up feeling selfish, and therefore we repress it and don't go after what we want and think that there's something wrong with us, and whatever the case may be. Therefore, we don't go after what we want and give other people what they want instead, as we repress who we are and ourselves just to keep the peace around us. And that is not healthy either. You're basically living a life based on a lie at that point. And I can't tell you how many clients I've had come to me, whether for readings or for coaching over the last several months, that have literally been going through this, whether in a relationship, a job, a living situation. Somewhere in their lives, they are feeling like, I have not been able to go after what I've wanted. And a lot of times they think they don't know what they want, but that's really not the case. They know what they want. It's just clouded by other people's perceived feelings, opinions, etc. of it. And so they don't go after it because, oh, that's going to make so-and-so mad. But then they get resentful, and then it starts leading to conflict. And then they're wondering why they're having this conflict. And it's like, and I've realized this because it was similar for me. I've seen this in Aries in my life too, with Venus and Aries. And so it really is showing you like your true, authentic desires, but they're bold, they're edgy, they're controversial, even though they really shouldn't be. But it's where we've chosen things that we thought we wanted that we really didn't want. And then we felt bad, we felt guilty, we felt selfish, we felt ungrateful. And then we just settled. And Venus in Aries is like, you're allowed to not settle. And that can be scary because then it feels like, well, if I don't settle, then that person's feelings is going to be hurt, or that person's not going to like that, or I'm not going to give that person what they want, or, you know, my boss isn't going to be happy with me, you know, like, because I'm going to have to find a new job, like, whatever the case may be. And it's like Venus in Aries is really like, look, you don't have to, you're not responsible for other people's desires. You're responsible for your own desires. You're not responsible for other people's feelings. Stop considering everybody else's feelings. That's how you're going to feel lost on what you want. You don't know what you want because you're considering everybody else's feelings and trying to make everybody else happy, which in return doesn't get you what you want. So Venus in Aries has been like, look, sometimes we've got to focus on ourselves. Sometimes we've got to be quote unquote selfish, self-focused, really, to focus on our desires because we end up in places we don't want to be in based on trying to make other people happy, to fulfill their desires, when we're over here like, okay, but that's not what I want, and now I'm scared to go after what I want because they're going to get mad, or it's going to be a conflict or whatever, because I've been feeding everybody else's desires for so long. But you're not here to just be somebody else's desire. Like, yes, that can feel good to be desired, but you're also here to fulfill your own desires. And I think that's what I've seen the most with Venus and Aries, is so many people getting lost in the conflict of desire. Like, right? Like the conflict of what they want and feeling like it's not good enough, or it's wrong, or it's selfish of them, or, you know, and I've seen a lot of people just kind of shift when they realize the permission to go after what they want, or the permission to like what they like, or the permission to say yes to the things that they want to say yes to, and no to the things that they've wanted to say no to, but they didn't know how, or they were scared of what other people would think about it. And it's like a light starts coming back on. The more you do that, the more you get good at facing uncomfortable situations, at facing the friction, at facing the conflict. And it's like, because truly, you're really not responsible. If you're not trying to hurt other people on purpose, and you're not actually harming other people in any way, you're not responsible for how they feel about what you like or what you do. You're really not. And so we're never going to find what we actually want, or the aligned decision, or what feels aligned with us, if we're caring at what everybody else is going to think about it and trying to swerve it around this huge conglomerate trash bag of other people's wants and desires and opinions and what they feel about it. And it's like, well, if you're carrying that, that's going to really slow you down and hold you back from going after what you want, because somewhere along the line, this person may not like it, or this person may feel this way, or that may make this person uncomfortable. Like, it's too much. No one can live, like, we have enough fucking feelings and opinions and like all that on our own, let alone making ourselves responsible for everybody else's, right? And it's like, when you're doing that, you're creating a fakeness. You're creating a facade anyway, because you're really creating a facade of peace, a facade of happiness, but not really, because it's not truly fulfilling, because it's not what you want. It's like, okay, like I'm going to give them peace and happiness by staying here and, you know, like making it feel okay, or like, you know, not worrying about the conflict or whatever. But and you know, staying at this job that I don't like, or, you know, not like, you know, rocking the boat with my friends or whatever, but then you still end up feeling like, I'm unhappy, or I'm not lit up about my life anymore, or I don't know what I want anymore. And it's like, no, you know what you want. you've bogged yourself down with all of the reasons why it can't happen and worrying about what everybody else wants, that you can no longer see what you want, or the path to what you want doesn't feel possible anymore. It feels like too much work to get what you want, or it feels like too many people are going to be pissed off. And it's like, that's the thing. If they're going to be pissed off by what you want, and what you want truly is what you want is truly what you desire, and you feel like is for the betterment and the evolvement and the like evolution of who you are. And if they get pissed off about that, then are they really aligned with you anyway? Are they really your kind of people anyway? So anyway, so that has been Venus in Aries. And on Sunday, and again, we're going to be feeling this in the few days leading up to it, Venus is going to conjunct Chiron. And Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is where we have sensitive, vulnerable wounds that are difficult to heal at times, that don't always feel good, that don't always make us feel good, that can make us feel like we're less than, or make us feel like we have to prove ourselves, especially in Aries, like we have to overachieve and we have to push, and all of that. Venus Chiron is going to bring up a lot of soft or sore vulnerabilities and spots within relationships, within attraction, again, within what we want and what we desire. And this is where it kind of shows us, okay, yeah, you can say that you haven't been able to go after what you want because of everybody else's feelings and everybody else's wants and opinions, and maybe you've been holding back because of that. But what's the real reason that you're holding back? It's really all been you. Why are you really actually scared to go after what you desire or what you want? Why are you actually scared to face conflict with others? That's the truer, deeper question here. Why are you valuing what other people think of you over trusting yourself? And so I think that, Chiron here, conjunct Venus, is a lot about trusting ourselves and seeing where we have certain relational wounds, where we have certain wounds in relation to what we desire, in our relationship with ourselves, and our relationship with others, and our relationship with our desires, and our relationship with the things that we want. This kind of feels like almost the grand finale of this Venus and Aries journey we've been on for the last few months this year. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how that all kind of plays out by the end of this weekend. And so you guys will have to let me know down below how that ends up looking for you guys. So, okay, so that is what I am seeing for this week and for this Gemini new moon, basically. I know it's not as in-depth as some of my other new moon videos, but so there's really not too much going on with this new moon. It's just really a new moon in Gemini. The ruler is there with it. But it is kind of the gateway to a very busy time frame and a lot of shifts and changes that are going to be happening in June that we'll be going over on a week-to-week basis in the weekly horoscopes instead of in the monthly horoscopes this time. So, alrighty. And like I said, I will try to do the sign horoscopes basically. Maybe in the weeklies a little bit more this month, since I'm not doing them month by month. But with that being said, we are going to do very short horoscopes for the week ahead for each sign. I love you guys. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty, Gemini risings, welcome to your mini horoscope for this Gemini new moon and the week ahead. So for you, Gemini, this new moon is happening in your first house, obviously, with your ruler there. So this is probably feeling pretty good and like home for you. Your chart ruler is home in your first house. You have a new moon here, and there's some kind of new fresh chapter, fresh start that is really coming in here for you that can feel like a new beginning, a new initiation of yourself into something. And this is the last new moon you're going to have here in your first house while Jupiter is here, and Jupiter is going to be leaving in the next couple weeks. So, but yeah, there's some kind of new beginning happening here this week. And then other than that, the other big thing we have happening this week is the Mercury Cazimi, also in your sign. Some kind of big revelation or moment of honesty, moment of bringing two things together with it being Gemini, moment of maybe you speaking your truth, you announcing something, you giving some kind of news, or coming to some kind of clarity, or realizing that two things can be true at once, and that's okay, especially when it comes to your identity, your body, your health, your appearance, your style, and who you are and what you want to initiate and how you want to go about things in the world. Now, the other part of this is Venus is going to conjunct Chiron at the very end of this week on Sunday, maybe feeling it in the days before that as well. But that's going to be happening in your 11th house. And so this definitely could be a time frame where you notice that you are either attracted to some people or maybe have pedestaled some people out of a sense of vulnerability, or kind of admiring or being attracted to kind of this feminine badass energy that derives or is kind of created from a wounded place, right? And I just say that because it's your 11th house. So this is like other people, the world, what you see in other people, and Venus, like being attracted, the kinds of people that you kind of admire, that you look up to. For some of you, this could be the opposite, where you kind of realize maybe there's some people that you admired or looked up to, or that you were even friends with, or that you perceived one way. Now you're kind of realizing, oh, maybe that's not it. This could also be bringing up your relationship with wounds in terms of friendships, groups, alliances, the crowds that you attract or that you're attracted to, or the people that you're attracted to in some way. This could be maybe like a friendship, or something that either maybe you're making up with, or like you're splitting away from due to some kind of old wound that is coming back around, or something that you just no longer are willing to put up with in some way with Venus Chiron. But either way, those are some of the ways that this could play out. There's definitely some kind of relationship with wounding coming up here in terms of your friends, other people, and groups that you may be seeing playing out this week as a Gemini rising. So moving on to Cancer risings. Let me know down below, Gemini, if that related. Comment down below, sexy Gemini rising. Moving on to Cancer risings, this new moon for you is happening in your 12th house of your hidden stuff, basically. Hidden enemies, hidden patterns, subconscious patterns, your dream life, even, things to do with your mind, your mental space. So this is kind of a new moon where you could really feel like you could start to feel a little bit overwhelmed mentally at this time. You could be feeling like, okay, there's been a lot going on with my work, with other people, with events, with finances, etc. Like I am starting to feel mentally drained, or I'm starting to feel like I want to get away or distract myself with something else to escape, or to not keep having to deal with all of this stuff. So you could be feeling rather busy, or like your mind is needing a break, or like a detox or something like that. So this would definitely be a good time to kind of settle down, do maybe some mindset work, get into mindset stuff. This would definitely be a really good time for that as a Cancer rising, if you are starting to feel a bit overwhelmed, or if you're starting to feel like you need to pull yourself back or anything like that. With this being your 12th house space, you could just be feeling like there's a lot going on behind the scenes, or that is like going on subconsciously that you can't quite put your finger on, or that is causing you to feel exhausted, or that is causing your energy to feel a bit like fatigued in some way, or causing your mind to go a lot and causing you to not be able to like sleep as well or something, So anyway, paying attention to that can be extremely helpful. And also we have the Mercury Cazimi right around Thursday, which is in your 12th house, which could also give you a massive moment of clarity, or even some answers on, how to kind of take a break, relax, reset your mind. It would be a really, really good time for that around Thursday. And then on Sunday, we have Venus conjunct Chiron. You could be feeling this in the days leading up to it as well, though. This is happening in your 10th house. And so this is really exposing a wound to you that you have around potentially recognition, proving yourself, looking or appearing a certain way, wanting to look and appear attractive on the outside in some way. Chiron and Venus here is really bringing up some kind of wound that you have with your reputation, or proving yourself, going after your goals, going after your vision, going after your dream, and something kind of coming up with that. Or even it could be like a relationship with an authority figure, or a boss, or someone you look up to or admire, and some kind of like vulnerability or sensitivity or insecurity coming up with that as well. But I think either way, this is like kind of trying to empower you by like embracing, almost like, because Venus wants to merge with things. Venus wants to bring things together. So it's like, if you can embrace this insecurity, you can almost turn it into your superpower. You know what I mean? You can turn your blessing into your curse, kind of, or turn your curse into your blessing kind of thing. And so that is what I'm seeing for you, Cancer risings. Comment down below, sexy Cancer rising, if any of that is resonating with you guys. I'd love to hear about it down below. Moving on to Leo risings, my fellow Leo risings, this new moon's happening in our 11th house. This is a very busy time of year, okay? With our 11th house being Gemini, it can feel like there's a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, or a lot of events coming out of the woodwork, a lot going on with the schedule, a lot going on with different groups of people, friend groups, for some family. Like for me, this is family because my Mercury, which rules Gemini, is in my 4th house. So a lot of the times this is like family, or just like going on different trips or vacations, or like whatever, just doing different things. You can find yourself feeling more out and about, more busy, or hearing from more people, or bringing in more people around this time. It can just feel like a very busy time, basically. A lot more socially going on, pretty much. And so this Gemini new moon is kind of starting this new era of a lot of social stuff happening for you that's going to continue to build the next couple weeks. And then on Thursday, we're going to have the Mercury Cazimi. This is happening as well in our 11th house. So this could definitely bring some news in from another person, or, a conversation with another person, or making us aware of something, a revelation, something along those lines, to do with a friend, or to do with another person, or to do with a conversation. And for some people, even ourselves, like it could have to do with ourselves, like us realizing something about these things, etc. And then on top of that, we are going to have Venus coming into her conjunction with Chiron on Sunday. This is in our 9th house, so this is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to show us where we have certain wounds around our relationship with believing in ourselves, believing in our ability or capabilities to overcome things in our lives, having faith and having faith in ourselves, with this being our 9th house. Our capabilities in learning and pushing through challenges and challenging ourselves, and kind of allowing our insecurities to be our superpowers instead of making them into something that's like this big deal, or that disqualifies us or makes us less than in some way. That's kind of the name of the game here with Venus Chiron. And so anyway, so that is what I'm seeing for us, fellow Leo risings. Let me know down below how that is resonating. Comment down below, sexy Leo rising, if it is resonating so far. I'd love to hear how things are going. And also definitely go back and watch the whole first part of this, because it's coming all from my perspective as a Leo rising. So I'm sure there'll be things that you relate to. Okay, moving on to Virgo risings. For Virgo risings, this new moon's happening in your 10th house. So you could definitely find that you've been starting to think a lot about career as this, as we're building up to this new moon this week, which is happening today, the very start of this week. But, there's been a lot of thinking about career, thinking about the direction of your life, thinking about where you're headed, what goals you have, what direction you want to go in, what you actually think, what you actually want, what skills you have, how to put it all together. And that is really what this new moon is about. It's a new chapter in terms of how you are viewing your future, how you're viewing where you want your life to go from here, and taking it one step at a time, not needing to see the whole entire big vision or the outcome or the aftermath, but taking it one step at a time. And with this Gemini energy for you Virgo risings, this is also very much about like, hey, things can be conflicting. Like maybe you want to do this thing, but you also want to do this thing, and somehow the two conflict. There's always a way to blend it together, or there's always a way to do both, or two things can be true at once with this Gemini energy. It is the twins. So it is finding a way to kind of merge both, or to do both in your own way in some way, right? You don't have to just pick one thing and stick to it for the rest of your life. You're able to change your mind, right? So remember that. Allow yourself to be more flexible with your mind. Allow yourself to be flexible with the way that you're thinking about things. Be curious instead of fixated or stubborn, right? And that can really take you far right now as a Virgo rising. Now also on Thursday, we have the Mercury Cazimi, which is really bringing in clarity. This could be where you start getting some answers, where you start getting a moment of clarity, where you start coming across something that sparks something within you, or that shows you the direction, or that gives you an answer or a piece of the puzzle in some way. It could be where you kind of get some clarity, or where you get honest with yourself, or where you kind of have that revelation, that spark that really shifts your thinking or shifts your awareness on the topic of your career and your long-term goals, and what you're working towards and where you're going in life. Then on Sunday, we have Venus conjunct Chiron. This is in your 8th house. This could bring up some sore or old wounds to do with relationships and burdens in which those relationships kind of are involved in some way, or burdens in which you or others carry to do with karma in energetic exchanges with other people and relationships. Okay, so this is definitely bringing up kind of that sore spot, that vulnerability, or insecurities, or maybe even past old stuff that feels like ouch, to do with, what others owe you, or the give and take in relationships in some way, the receiving and the giving in relationships in some way, shape, or form, or even shared finances, shared possessions, shared things in relationships, or karma or baggage or burdens from old relationships or current relationships. And so that could be some of the topics that you see coming up by the end of this week as a Virgo rising. So comment sexy Virgo rising down below, because you are. Let me know if that ends up resonating. I appreciate you guys. Alrighty, Libra risings. This Gemini new moon is happening for you in your 9th house, darlings. So this is all about basically travel pursuits, learning endeavors, how you see the world, your outlook on the world. Why are you here? Why do you exist? Why are we all here? What are we doing? What game are we playing? Is it a game? Is it not? This is basically the 9th house. So this new moon is happening here, okay? And that is where, I think it's kind of saying like, hey, multiple things can be true at one time. Camera's dying here. But multiple things can be true at one time. You don't have to feel the same way all the time or see things the same way at the time all the time. You can try on different perspectives, try on different hats. You may run into conflicting viewpoints, to your own. You may run into other people or opinions online or whatever, where other people have a different perspective than you usually do, and it conflicts with your own perspective, or if it conflicts with your own beliefs, but this is a time where it's like, actually, maybe I could see how their belief could be true, things like that. And so that is basically what this Gemini energy is all about right now. And on Thursday, we will have the Mercury Cazimi, where you are coming into awareness, you are coming into a space where you are more aware, you are potentially receiving some kind of revelation or a light bulb moment in terms of something, there could be news, information, something that comes in around Thursday. And then also on Sunday, we have the Venus Chiron Cazimi. Now, this is a big deal for you, because this is your ruling planet Venus here that we're talking about in your opposite sign of Aries, where she's been in detriment on a long AF journey here in your house of relationships. Now she's going to be conjunct Chiron. Okay, so all kinds of stuff coming up in terms of wounds and insecurities to do with relationships, what you're attracted to, attraction, your desires, what you want, insecurities, sore spots, vulnerabilities, all of that could definitely be showing you where you have maybe some insecurities in terms of relationships, or in terms of attraction, or in terms of what you're attracted to, or maybe your partner does, or somebody else does around you, and you're having to kind of, you're realizing it, or you're maybe even mending it or helping to mend it in some way. So yeah, that is what I'm seeing for you guys, Libra risings. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you missed the first whole part of this video, you're really missing out on the whole thing, honestly. But we are going to move on to, I'll comment down below sexy Libra rising, because you are Bill. We are going to move on to Scorpio risings. For Scorpio risings, this new moon is happening in your 8th house. So this is definitely a time where you could be noticing a lot of new chapters, a lot of new beginnings starting here in terms of other people in your life, your relationships, and the karmic dialogue, the karmic back and forth, the giving and receiving to do with relationships and other people in your life in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so other people's money, assets, shared resources, what you receive from them, what you owe to them, what they receive from you, etc., etc. It's kind of starting a new beginning here. Maybe your partner's finances or financial resources, things like that. Could be coming up. Either way, it's like there's something dual, there's something double here with this Gemini energy. It's like two of something, okay? So this could be like maybe you're looking at you, or you're trying to like maybe keep like separate like your income from your partner's income or something like that, right? Or maybe you're trying to have like 2 income streams, or trying to build like 2 new income streams or something, this could be something like that. But either way, there's some kind of new moon happening here for you, where you are more so focusing on, from here on out, your finances and your shared financial assets, or your shared energetic karma, baggage stuff with other people in some way, shape, or form. Okay. And then we also have the Mercury Cazimi this week, also happening in your 8th house. Definitely could be some news, a a revelation, a light bulb moment happening in terms of your relationships with other people and finances. And then also on Sunday, we have Venus conjunct Chiron happening in your sixth house. The way that the chart's looking a little bit weird right now. It keeps looking like your fifth house, but it's your sixth house. And that definitely could be bringing up, maybe if you have coworkers, employees, something going on with your body, health, work, some insecurities or vulnerabilities, either with you or other people around you, that you could see there with Venus Chiron. Okay, so comment down below, sexy Scorpio rising, because you are boo. If you watched until here, and if you missed the beginning, go back and watch, because you're missing basically the whole thing at that point, and that's the important part. Okay, so moving on to Sag risings. For Sag risings, we have the Gemini new moon happening in your opposite sign, obviously, in your seventh house. So this is a massive new chapter, new beginning kind of happening here in your relationships, and kind of putting the focus on other people, your relationships, your social life, how other people see you, all of that for the next few weeks now. Okay, so, and this week is bringing in some major epiphanies and clarity and big conversations, news, light bulb moments to do with your social life, relationships, and other people as well, with the Mercury cazimi. Okay, sometimes two things can be true at once. Sometimes you can see things from another perspective. Sometimes you can try on another perspective. Those are all really big Gemini lessons. You know, with being a Sag rising, sometimes it's like my way or the highway. Being a Sag rising in your first house, you know, it's like, no, I'm passionate about this. This is the way, this is the perspective, this is what I believe. But Gemini in the seventh is like, hey, not everybody's going to believe that, or you're going to get altering things, or you're going to get people that conflict. There's things that conflict with your views or you or whatever, but that doesn't have to mean that it's in conflict with you. It doesn't have to mean that it's against you. It doesn't have to mean that it can't exist for that reason. So it's about being more open-minded, changing your mind, being flexible in terms of changing things around, especially with other people right now as a Sagittarius rising. Also, we're going to have Venus conjunct Chiron, which is happening in your fifth house of love, romance, passion, sexuality, fun, and pleasure. So there could be something coming up with those topics this week, like insecurities or some sore spots or something vulnerable coming up with those topics this week if you are a Sag rising. So comment down below, sexy Sag rising, if you watched, and let me know down below if any of that related, or if you're seeing any of that this week. I'd love to hear your feedback. Moving on to Capricorn risings. For Capricorn risings, this new moon's happening in your sixth house of health, work, and day-to-day routine. So that's really where you're going to kind of see these subtle new beginnings starting, and kind of like a topic shift, basically, when we have new moons. It's like, okay, like we're coming out of like the love, passion, you know, doing what I desire and stopping and smelling the roses and having fun and focusing on like my hobbies and my home life and maybe gardening or whatever. And now we're moving into like, okay, maybe there's a lot going on at work, or my schedule is starting to become very busy, or it's time to like really clean out my office and rearrange, or there's a lot going on with my coworkers or employees, or like, you know, I really need to get back into a routine. It can start to feel very busy, it can start to feel like things are a little chaotic. And so this is really drawing your attention to a new beginning here of reorganizing your health, work, and day-to-day routine life to feel more mentally on top of things here, okay? And so this week we're also going to be having the Mercury cazimi happening in your sixth house as well, bringing in moments of clarity, light bulb moments, epiphanies, revelations, maybe news, or even conversations with others that really kind of spark some kind of new awareness around something that maybe, you know, connects some dots, or brings in an answer that you were looking for in some way, shape, or form, or inspires some kind of decision, or maybe even a change in your mind about something. And then on Sunday, we're going to have Venus conjunct Chiron happening in your fourth house, which could bring up some insecurities or some wounds with family, or some vulnerabilities with family, some sore spots with family. So that is what I see happening for you this week, Capricorn risings. And if you missed the beginning, you're missing pretty much the whole thing. So go back and watch that if you missed it. Okay, Aquarius risings, darlings, this new moon for you is happening in your fifth house of romance, love, pleasure, passion, art, creativity, pleasure, fun, and entertainment. So those are the topics you could really notice coming up right now. You could definitely be feeling more fun, more curious, more playful, more childlike around this new moon and over the next couple weeks as this energy really builds. And yeah, you could just really find yourself more curious, wanting to learn more, wanting to experiment more, wanting to kind of just have fun and be maybe a little bit more mischievous, play games, and like kind of be more of a social butterfly, network a little bit more, connect with other people a little bit more, try new things. And yeah, I think that this energy could really be fun for you for Aquarius risings. And then also we have the Mercury Cazimi this week. So this could definitely be, kind of a revelation or something coming into your awareness about maybe something new that you want to learn, a new passion, a new hobby, a new curiosity, a new inspiration that piques your interest. Maybe something that you're doing, like a person that you kind of come across in terms of dating or like being interested in, things like this. But it's definitely kind of a lighter time period of being mischievous, a little bit more carefree, a little bit more curious and fun and experimental. And yeah, and then on Sunday, though, we also have Venus conjunct Chiron, though. This is happening in your third house. So this could be really good for kind of maybe vulnerable conversations or conversations surrounding insecurities or sensitive topics that can also be very empowering at the same time. So kind of watch for that. Or you could even be the one expressing those conversations or expressing it in some way, shape, or form. So comment down below, Sexy Aquarius rising. If you watched until here, let me know if any of this sounds accurate for you. And we're going to move on to Pisces rising. So for Pisces risings, your short little horoscope for the week ahead. This Gemini new moon is happening in your fourth house of home, family, and your personal life. This is kind of your private life, what's going on behind closed doors. New beginning here is happening and pretty much bringing in a focus shift. So your focus may shift more to this area of life, focusing on your home, family, what's going on at home with family, right? And there's also going to be a Mercury Cazimi here this week, really kind of bringing some clarity or change in the mind or a decision or some news or information or a light bulb moment in terms of your home, family, and personal life as well. And then we also have Venus conjunct Chiron going exact by Sunday this week. And so could also notice some themes coming up this week around insecurities in terms of finances, resources, assets, and the things that you depend upon. So, but this could be a really powerful time as Venus conjuncts Chiron to turn something that may feel like an insecurity or may feel like a curse or may feel like a vulnerability into a gift and into a blessing instead. And so that is what we have coming up this week for you Pisces risings. Comment down below, Sexy Pisces risings, because you are. And we are going to move on to Aries rising. So for Aries risings, this new moon is happening in your third house. And so this is definitely a new beginning kind of coming in that is bringing more of a focus shift around your local environment, your social life, your community, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, your schedule, your events, your lifestyle, and the people, places, and things that you frequent on a day-to-day basis. So you could be noticing a lot more of a busy schedule happening, a lot more busyness in the air, feeling a little bit more busy, feeling like maybe there's like a lot of appointments or a lot of events or a lot of social stuff that's going on all of a sudden. You could find that you're like kind of frequenting places around your town a little bit more than usual, or running a lot more errands, or showing up at a lot more places, or even going on some short trips or travel pursuits around this time. We're also going to have a Cazimi here this week, the Mercury Sun Cazimi here in Gemini this week, which is really kind of bringing in potentially some news, information, a light bulb moment, a moment of clarity or a conversation, information basically coming in to do with potentially your local environment, or maybe a hobby skill that you're learning, or a conversation that you need to have, or you even changing your mind about something or getting clear about something. Learning something new maybe, etc. But these are the different, some of the different ways you could see that playing out. Also, Venus is going to conjunct Chiron this week at the very end of the week on Sunday in your sign. This could definitely be hinting to some kind of insecurity, vulnerability, sensitive spot within yourself that Venus wants you to finally make peace with or merge with in some way. Kind of overcoming some kind of vulnerability, some insecurity, some kind of wound from maybe the past that has to do with maybe your appearance, maybe your body, attraction, style, something along those lines. It's definitely coming up at the end of this week. So kind of pay attention to that. It's definitely a chance to kind of change something that may feel like a curse or once felt like a curse into a blessing with Chiron. So, okay. Moving on to Taurus, last but not least, this new moon's happening in your second house of money, your finances, assets, income, the things that you depend on, your skill sets, etc. So this is definitely a focus shift where you could find that over the next few weeks, that is where your focus lies, mainly on maybe like your finances, your income, things that you depend upon, maybe trying to come up with or learn new skills or new ways of bringing in other sources of income or other streams of income in some way, or rearranging certain streams of income that you may already have. Two is always better than one with Gemini, and so two things can happen at once here. With that, they don't have to necessarily compete or conflict with the other, so do keep that in mind. And then also, we also have the Mercury Cazimi happening here. So Mercury and the Sun will be meeting, which can bring in kind of a moment of clarity, information, news, a light bulb moment, a decision, something into our awareness that kind of becomes clear. It's like something becomes clear in this area of your life in terms of your second house. And then Venus will be conjuncting Chiron by the very end of this week, kind of bringing into light maybe a subconscious insecurity or wound that you need to make peace with that could be kind of haunting you from your subconscious or in your dreams in some way. But that could also really help empower you if you're able to mend that. Okay, so that is basically what we have happening this week. Taurus risings, comment down below sexy Taurus rising because you are. And if you missed the whole first part of this video, you're missing pretty much all of it because that's the good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you guys in next week's video.